Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurumitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeyaham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijan Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Taptakanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanu Sutadevi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhubhaiva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Thank you all for coming. Before we begin, a quick announcement on the Zoom update. So I got a further message from Zoom company that the recordings, the Zoom recordings that were recorded before last Saturday, 22nd March, and for the previous few months before 22nd March, those recordings will never be able to play on the phones, even after Zoom company releases a patch to be installed on your phones. Because those recordings had inherent glitch, that glitch cannot be fixed at all. So I had sent many of you to test whether you were able to play the most recent recording and the past recordings. So thank you all for testing and responding to me. I did not respond to any one of you because I didn't want to do one by one. And therefore, I'm stating here. So those of you who will be listening to past recordings, you will have no choice but to download on a computer to listen to those recordings, which were roughly between December and March. I don't know the exact date, but roughly between that time. They will not play on your phones ever. Pratyush Prabhu is the only exception where he is able to play all recordings on his phone. Now, that is just because the update so far on your phone has not been pushed through. This was the case for others also, that while the update was not pushed, they were able to listen to recording, but once the phones get updated, uh, there was that glitch that caused that glitch, and therefore you will not be able to play the recordings. So today we will cover a lot of verses and we'll go at a little faster pace, and I'll describe very soon that why we are going at a faster pace. And our next class is the yoga ladder class. So I will bring up the yoga ladder shell on screen. I have shared this with all of you earlier, and our next class on yoga ladder will run like a movie in a fast forward mode. And I request all of you to please sit with a cone of silence around you so that you can populate as many boxes as you can on this yoga ladder chart. This yoga ladder, this class, this discussion does not exist in its entirety anywhere else. You will hear bits and pieces of this discussion in some form or other, but in this entirety does not exist anywhere. I had actually asked the ISKCON Education to include this somehow. I don't know what they did. So sit with a cone of silence around you. Traveling at our next class will not work because you will not be able to populate. And virtually, to try to populate this in an electronic form will also not work because we'll be jumping back and forth between so many boxes. There are more than 80 plus boxes on this chart that will be populating. This is a summary of the first 6 chapters. And we'll go from there. So I think all of you have this. I have shared it. I will share one more time in the chat right now, just in case if you don't already have it or if you have not downloaded before. So download right now and print on a tabloid size page, 11 by 17 in landscape. Otherwise, the print will become so small that you will not be able to populate in an efficient manner. We also welcome Annapurni. She is in the process of getting caught up on past recordings like many of you. Welcome and continue to feel free to ask any and all questions, even though you are joining partway through. Everybody on the same page? Questions, comments, realizations? All right. So as I said that today we'll cover a lot of verses and we'll go at a faster pace, and a lot of this will seem like I don't really understand what is going on. The verses that we are going to cover today are the sadhana or the practice of Ashtanga Yogi. Now, Ashtanga Yoga is not the yoga process for this Kali Yuga. Therefore, we'll go at a faster pace. And a lot of things that you may find that I don't understand will actually become clear at our next yoga ladder class. Because you will have this visual in front of you. Now, another question will come up then, why am I studying this Ashtanga Yoga if I'm not required to practice? So there are 2 reasons. One, of course, the Ashtanga Yoga is there in Bhagavad Gita because Bhagavad Gita is universal. Ashtanga Yoga can be practiced during Satyug times and was practiced during Satyug times. And second, the more important reason is that you will realize by comparison between Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti Yoga that Ashtanga Yoga is very difficult, is next to impossible, at least in Kali Yuga. And Bhakti Yoga is easier comparatively. So Krishna will soon do this comparison in upcoming chapters between Bhakti Yoga and other yoga paths, including Ashtanga Yoga. And he will go on to establish in 8.14 that Bhakti Yoga is easier compared to other yoga paths. And the keyword is easier. Does not mean Bhakti Yoga is easy. All yoga paths are difficult. Comparatively, Bhakti Yoga is easier. And therefore, we will run at a faster pace because this is not the yoga process. The Ashtanga Yoga is not the yoga process for us, for this Kali Yuga. Now, what we will do in these verses that we're going to cover today from chapter 6, verse 10 onwards, These verses 10 to 32 is section 2, which is titled From Practice to Perfection in Ashtanga Yoga. What we'll do for these 10 to 32 verses is what components of Ashtanga Yoga we can use in our Bhakti Yoga, we will note down and we will try to use this. Lord Kapila in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, in the Kapila Siksa section, Lord Kapila is Krishna himself. Lord Kapila also does this in Srimad Bhagavatam, where Devahuti, Lord Kapila's mother, asked this question about Ashtanga Yoga. Lord Kapila is describing Ashtanga Yoga meditation, and he says it is actually beneficial for you devotees also. So those Ashtanga Yoga verses from Canto 3, I will be giving you all to read through when our Shiksha Guru, His Grace Bhakti Yoga Prabhu, will come to teach us how to take darshan. Those verses from Canto 3 will make you remember Krishna very easily, will help you how to take darshan. And therefore, Lord Kapila is explaining in Srimad Bhagavatam because it is useful for us devotees also, for us Bhakti Yogi devotees also. So it's coming up. I will share those verses for you all to read, and becomes easier to practice Bhakti Yoga, even though they are core verses for Ashtanga Yoga. Everybody with me? Questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, is there any description of Bhakti Yoga? Like, why is it not the process in other yogas? Like Ashtanga meditation is practiced in Sat Yoga, like for example,
So
not the Harinam thing. Sorry.
yeah, so they, in other yogas also, they do practice bhakti. It's just that you are trying to use whatever best is available in the process of bhakti. So Ashtanga Yoga is practiced in Satyug because the lifespan in Satyug is about 100,000 years. So you have that much bodily capacity, and you are using that ability, that capacity in bhakti process. They are meditating still on Krishna. They are still doing bhakti process. It's just another limb of bhakti. In us, in Kali Yuga, we have less than 100,000, sorry, not 100,000, less than 100 years of life in Kali Yuga. And that too, the mind is so disturbed. Therefore, Ashtanga Yoga is not possible in Kali Yuga. Abhishek Prabhu, does that help you?
So like Ashtanga Yoga is also seen as a form of Bhakti Yoga, and it was people were capable to follow it in Satyug. Now, what about the chanting of the names of God? Like, it's the easiest and most simple process, but
So,
that was
yeah,
not.
you are correct. So chanting is easiest process in Kali Yuga, right? So there are 9 processes. One of them is remembering or meditating on Krishna. So those who are following Ashtanga Yoga process in Satyug, they are meditating on Vishnu. So they are just following another form of bhakti using the best possible way or the best possible use of their bodily abilities. Abhishek Prabhu?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
And I will bring up on screen a verse which is the answer. I'm trying to find that verse. It's from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 12. I will find right now, and I will bring up which basically answers your point that whatever was possible in Satyug by Ashtanga Yoga meditation it is possible by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra in Kali Yuga, and in Dwarpa Yuga was worship. So let me bring up that verse on screen. All right, let's see. Abhishek Prabhu, you want to read the verse translation from the screen? And
Yes, Prabhuji. Srimad Bhagavatam 12.3.52 translation. Whatever result was obtained in Satyuga by meditation on Vishnu, in Treta Yuga by performing sacrifices, in Dwapara Yuga by serving the Lord's lotus feet, can be obtained in Kali Yuga simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
does that answer your inquiry, Abhishek Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Right, so all these processes in different yugas, they are all Bhakti Yoga processes. They are using whatever is available as best as possible in the respective yugas. That's what they are following. All right. So we will now get back to the verses. And so we are on chapter 6, section 2, verses 10 to 32. Title is From Practice to Perfection in Yoga. This section 2, verses 10 to 32, describes the practice of Ashtanga Yoga, meaning the sadhana of Ashtanga Yoga, that progressively how one will attain perfection. So this is the core sadhana of Ashtanga Yoga, meaning how you all as Bhakti Yogis, your sadhana is chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, reading scriptures, doing devotional services. These are your sadhana activities to elevate yourself on the path of spirituality. Similarly, these verses 10 to 32 describe the core sadhana of Ashtanga Yoga, meaning this is what Ashtanga Yogi practices to elevate himself on the path of spirituality. So I request all of you to have these verses open right now. Everybody should be on Bhagavad Gita chapter 6 verse 10 onwards, because we'll go very, very fast. There should not be any pause for any one of you. Oh, I'm trying to find a verse. No, just be there and we will run very, very fast. Now these verses 10 to 32 are split into three parts. So verses 10 to 15 starts from sadhana. Verse number 10 starts from the basic sadhana, and to verse number 15 reaches the siddha stage, meaning the perfection stage, which is the Brahman realization. Then from 6.16 onwards, it again starts from the basic starting point sadhana stage, and to 23 is again the siddha or the perfection stage. This is Paramatma realization. Then 6.24 again starts from the basic starting point, the sadhana start point, and 32 again is the siddha or the perfection stage. And then this is Bhagwan realization. So each of these subparts starts from basics and goes on to different levels of perfection. So 6.10, 6.16 and 6.24 starts from basics, and then 6.15, 6.23, 6.32, each of them progressively describe the perfection stages. And each of these perfection stages are higher and higher. So Brahman realization is the lowest. Next higher is Paramatma realization, and highest is Bhagwan realization. So we will try to understand Ashtanga Yoga at a high level rather than minute details, because Ashtanga Yoga is not the yoga process for Kali Yuga. Parts of Ashtanga Yoga can be used in our Bhakti Yoga and Karma Yoga stages, and that's what we will try to use. So as we read through these verses, visualize the picture that you have on the screen, that the Ashtanga Yogi is sitting in a secluded place, and all his bones are visible and creepers are growing on his body. So again, as I said upfront, it's very obvious that it's very difficult. I am not going to practice this Ashtanga Yoga. So we will just try to use the components of Ashtanga Yoga that can be beneficial in our Bhakti Yoga and Karma Yoga stage, as well as for comparison will become very easy when Krishna will very soon in upcoming chapters do a comparison between Bhakti Yoga and other yoga process, including Ashtanga Yoga, to establish that Bhakti Yoga is easier process to fix the mind on Krishna rather than other processes. Abhishek Prabhu, verse number 10 translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. 6.10. A transcendentalist should always engage his body, mind, and self in relationship with the Supreme. He should live alone in a secluded place and should always carefully control his mind. He should be free from desires and feelings of possessiveness.
So, verse number 10 starts from basic practice, and verse number 15 will be the perfection stage of Brahman realization. That yogi is one who is always engaged in body, mind, and soul. He resides in a secluded place, does not have material desires, and does not have feelings of possessiveness. Meaning, externally, one is in a secluded place, and internally, one is controlled and concentrated. 6.11 and 12 we'll read together. 6.11 talks about externals, and 6.12 talks about internals. Manish Prabhu, are you able to read 11 and 12 translation?
Hare Krishna. To practice yoga, one should go to the secluded place and should lay kusa grass on the ground, then cover it with the deer's skin and soft cloth. The seat should not neither be too high nor too low, should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi should sit then on it very firmly and practice yoga to purify the heart by controlling his mind, senses, and activities and fixing the mind on one point.
So one should situate oneself in a sacred place, sit on a steady asana, should not sit on a place that is too high or too low. If the place is too high, one will do more of sightseeing rather than trying to do inward meditation. And if the place is too low, then the person will always have the fear that something may fall and may attack. Therefore, he may not be able to concentrate, and should sit on a deer skin to avoid animal predators. Then fix the mind with one attention. Thus bring the mind and senses under control and practice yoga to purify the heart. Chaitanya Prabhu, 13 and 14 translation. So 13 again talks about externals and 14 talks about internals.
Hare Krishna, one should hold one's body, neck and head erect in a straight line. and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. Hare Krishna.
So external says that sit straight with body, head, neck in a straight line. Don't sit in a slump position. Look at the tip of a nose. Don't look here and there. Now, why look at the tip of the nose? One has to have some point to focus on, which is not very interesting. Otherwise, the mind will try to imagine pleasure. Therefore, focus in between the eyebrows or the tip of the nose, because we need some object to focus on. Now, instead of closing your eyes, fix the eyes on one particular point and with half closed eyes. So one may fall asleep if the eyes are fully closed. And then the internal sage talks about that this way you control the mind devoid of fear. And situate yourself in brahmacharya. And sense control is already stated throughout our Bhagavad Gita study in the first 6 chapters, and specifically in chapter 2, verse number 54 onwards. And then be detached. Detachment point is there throughout our Bhagavad Gita. When one keeps practicing yoga this way, in the verses we have covered so far, the result is described in 6.15. Diksha, 6.15 translation.
Six 6.15. Thus, practicing constant control of the body, mind, and activities, the mystic transcendentalist, his mind regulated, attains to the kingdom of God, or the abode of Krishna, by cessation of material existence. Hare Krishna.
So when one constantly practices yoga, as we have discussed in these above verses, with body and mind and soul, with a controlled mind, will get peace and will have cessation of material existence, and he will get situated next to Krishna. So question for all of you, from these verses 10.15, are there any Ashtanga Yoga items that can be used while doing Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga? Everybody quickly. Somebody.
Hare Krishna.
Go ahead, Annapurni.
Yes, we can do the meditation part of it and sit the way we are being asked to sit, and have constant control of the body.
All right, very
mind.
good. Abhishek Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, this staring part we can, like, we are also chanting and sitting, so we can fix our gaze on some fixed point.
Yeah, very good. Monarch Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, this part that how we should sit, we can use this sitting position while doing a chanting.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, all correct points, that you try to engage your body, mind, and soul in Krishna's service, and then have this one pointed attention while you are chanting, or the sitting posture. Very good. All correct points. So this is what we'll also do for all the verses. Matan Prabhu has something to add?
I have a question. When I have half closed eye, is kind of hurting, and and when I look at the tip of the nose, it's kind of blurry. It's not sure. I'm not able to focus on the.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I described. That you need some uninteresting point to focus on. It's blurry, it's very good. Just focus on that blurry part, because you need to actually focus your mind on Krishna. And that uninteresting part, even if it is blurry, that's okay. You just need an object to have your mind focused on. Madan Prabhu, does that help you?
Yes, thank you.
All right, very good. Annapurni will read verse number 16. So what happened in 10.10 to 15 verses? Verse number 10 started by basic starting point of the sadhana, and verse number 15 led to a perfection, which is Brahman realization, which is the lowest of all spiritual realization. Verse number 16 will again start from basic practice and will take one to perfection stage of Paramatma realization in verse number 23. So question posted is that verse number 15, Brahman realization is not clear. Very, very good, correct point. It will come up very soon in upcoming verse where Krishna will actually explain this. So hold your thought for a few minutes. And for these same 16 to 23 verses, we'll again try to take some points that we can use in our Bhakti Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga. Annapurni?
Hare Krishna. There is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi or Arjun if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. Hare Krishna.
So one should not eat too much and one should not fast too much. Both extremes you have to avoid. If we eat less, we will not have energy to serve Krishna. We will be constantly thinking of food. If we eat too much, the energy goes to digest and we end up feeling lazy and sleepy. Similarly, we should not sleep too much and we should not stay awake for too long also. Both extremes are to be avoided. Basically, Krishna is saying to regulate yourself. The goal is not less sleeping, but the goal is more service. If I sleep less, resulting in I cannot do service, it defeats the purpose of less sleep. Therefore, Krishna says, have a balance rather than trying to do too much. It doesn't work. Our body has limitations. Therefore, regulate. Malti, verse number 17 translation. So in 16, he said what one should not do. In verse number 17, Krishna will say what one should do. Malti, 17.
Hare Krishna, text 17. He who is regulated in his habit of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can intimidate all material things by practicing the yoga system. Hare Krishna.
So one should be regulated, not extravagant. Regulated in eating, sleeping, entertainment. Now, what entertainment can a yogi do in a forest? Now, yogis can also take breaks. He can say walk around, look at nature, and try to get some relief. Basically, he does not have to be doing something which is too strenuous or too extravagant. If material activities are not regulated, then yoga is not focused. Therefore, there will be no fruitful results. Now, extravagance in demands of body can block advancement in the practice of yoga. So Srila Prabhupada said that you don't try to imitate all these previous Goswamis and Srila Prabhupada. Rather, make them as your role models to regulate yourself. Like Srila Prabhupada used to sleep only 2 hours every day. Don't try to imitate that. It's not possible for any one of us. Srila Prabhupada's body was spiritual. He's always spiritual. So you just try to find this as a role model or as a goal that I should engage myself, my body, mind, and soul as much as is possible into Bhakti Yoga. Matan Prabhu, 18 translation.
Hare Krishna. When the yogi, by practice of yoga, disciplines his mental activities and becomes situated in transcendence, devoid of all material desires, he is said to be well established in yoga.
So when one has controlled the senses, mind, consciousness, meaning the subtle body, then one becomes situated at the level of the soul, and the person is devoid of all desires, having no hankering for any material desire. All these the Ashtanga Yogi has to do. Monarch Prabhu, 19 translation.
Hare Krishna, 6.19. As a lamp in a windless place does not waver, so the transcendentalist whose mind is controlled remains always steady in his meditation on the transcendent self.
So Krishna is giving an example to make us understand that what will be the state of the Ashtanga Yogi when he is meditating the way is described in the above verses. So the example is giving is that as a lamp in a windless place, the flame does not flicker. Similarly, a yogi whose mind is controlled, the consciousness is constantly staying focused on the Atma, then his mind will not flicker. His consciousness will not flicker. What causes my consciousness to flicker is the material desires. By yoga practice, when there are no material desires, then even when one does activities in the material world, which involve interaction with worldly objects, still one will not be agitated by those events. And now Krishna will describe samadhi, that how one attains perfection and the vision of one who has attained perfection. So all these verses above, the Ashtanga Yogi is doing all this sadhana and now he is attaining samadhi. What is that samadhi? Is described in verses 20 to 23. Raksha, 20 to 23 translation.
Hare Krishna. In the stage of perfection called trance or samadhi, one's mind is completely restrained from material mental activities by practice of yoga. This perfection is characterized by one's ability to see the self by the pure mind and to relish and rejoice in the self. In that joyous state, one is situated in boundless transcendental happiness, realized through transcendental senses. Established thus, one never departs from the truth, and upon gaining this, he thinks there is no greater gain. Being situated in such a position, one is never shaken, even in the midst of the greatest difficulty. This indeed is actual freedom from all miseries arising from the material contact. Hare Krishna.
So this is the stage of samadhi. What you are seeing on the screen, the Ashtanga Yogi sitting in the forest, you can see the kusa grass and he's focused on something and he's sitting in a straight position and he has attained perfection is what is described. So question for all of you, From these verses 16 to 23, what Ashtanga Yoga items can be used while doing Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga? Everybody quickly.
I think we can do regulation of our habits.
Very good. Very good. What else?
Hare Krishna, chanting in our heart.
Okay. Chanting should be loud. You can chant 24 hours, but at least the minimum number of rounds that you're chanting every day, which is 16 for initiated devotees, could be less for others if you are still in the process. Those minimum rounds you should chant loudly. Rest you can remember Krishna 24 hours, that's okay. All right, what else, Monarch?
Hare Krishna, not to eat or sleep too much or too little.
Very good. Regulation, same as Samba. Okay, what else?
This example of lamp not wavering. So, like when we sit for japa, we can try to be in that situation, like coming back, not.
Yeah, you can try. Hold your thought on upcoming verses. Arjuna will go on to explain that it is very difficult to control your mind. The proper approach for Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Yogi devotees, you all, is to engage the mind in Krishna's service. So yes, while you are chanting, you listen. Yes, you can try to do that. But soon Arjuna is going to say in 33 and 34 that it is very difficult to control the mind. It is easier to control the wind than control the mind. And we'll come to the solution part also, that what do we do? Annapurni?
I was about to say the same thing, Prabhuji. Control the mind, try to become sthitapragya, not get excited with happiness and not feel too sad when disappointed.
All right. Okay, so all good points that yes, we should not eat too much, should not fast too much, should not sleep too much, should not stay awake too much, means balance in eating and sleeping. And also should have regulated and not extravagant in eating, sleeping, and even in entertainment. So all these points we can definitely use for ourselves. So verses 10 to 15 started from basic practice to perfection stage of Brahman realization. Verses 16 to 23 again started from basic practice to perfection, which is Paramatma realization. And the next set of verses 24 to 32 again will start from the basic practice and takes one to the highest perfection stage of Bhagwan realization. Padma Kumar Prabhu, verse 24 translation. Pratyush Prabhu, verse 24 translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. One should engage oneself in the practice of yoga with determination and faith and not be deviated from the path. One should abandon, without exception, all material desires born of mental speculation and thus control all the senses on all sides by the mind.
So key points are that practice yoga with determination and faith. Abandon all material desires born of mental speculation and control the mind and senses. Parth Prabhu, verse 25 translation. Follow me, 25 translation.
Hare Krishna. Gradually, step by step, one should become situated in trance by means of intelligence, sustained by full conviction, and thus the mind should be fixed on the self alone and should think of nothing else. Hare Krishna.
So, key points again are that gradually situate yourself in trance use intelligence with full conviction, and mind fixed on self and nothing else. Now, this is the pratyahar stage, means shut off senses completely. So if you recall, at the start of chapter 6, I had described the eightfold yoga system of Ashtanga Yogi, that Yama, Niyam, Asana, Pranayam. First four are for Aruruksha, and fifth onwards is for Aruda advanced stage. Pratyahar, Dhyan, Dharana, Samadhi. So this is the Pratyahar stage, that he has shut off all the senses and he's simply focused on his meditation. Verse number 26 is very important verse. We have read this verse multiple times, that we can remember this while our practice also. So many of you can say this, when you are chanting, what happens with your mind? What do you experience, everybody?
Hare Krishna, mind wanders here and there in other activities.
Mind wanders. Has anybody else noticed this?
Hare Krishna, yes, Prabhuji.
All right. So here's what Krishna gives the solution. Krishna says that the nature of the mind is to wander. You cannot stop the mind from wandering. Just try to bring it back as soon as the mind wanders. You just have to be conscious of your mind. So those of you here, at least in Toronto area, when you come for services, this is what we practice. So whatever we practice is not just artificially made up someplace. This is exactly what we practice that Krishna is describing. And those of you from Toronto area can share your experience after we finish reading 26. Padma Kumar Prabhu, 26 translation.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, this is Partha. Can I read out?
Yeah, Path Prabhu, you go ahead.
From wherever the mind wanders due to its flickering and unsteady nature, one must certainly withdraw it and bring it back under the control of the self.
So whenever and wherever the mind wanders, bring it back under the control of the soul. So mind is bound to wander. You cannot stop the mind from wandering. We'll soon realize why. Arjuna will describe the characteristics of the mind very soon in 33, 34 verses. So we trust our mind too much instead of trusting our well-wisher Krishna. What the mind is telling us is not in our best interest. We have heard from Chaitanya Chanda's lecture that treat the mind as an untrusted outsider. We'll hear from Chaitanya Chandas today also that in our body, there is the soul for sure, and there is the uncontaminated, not uncontaminated, it is fully contaminated mind. So just because something is coming from inside us, any thoughts, does not mean it is coming from the soul. It can be coming from the contaminated mind. So we have to learn to validate from scriptures that whatever desires I have, are they taking me closer to Krishna? Then I will do it. If those desires are taking me away from Krishna, then I will reject. So treat the mind as an untrusted outsider. Just as somebody comes and tells you, hey, do this. No, we don't just follow that. We first validate whether we should be doing that or not. So by default, our consciousness goes down towards sense objects and sense gratification. We have discussed this example earlier. Our default setting in our body of the attraction towards sense objects and sense gratification is like the default setting on a new device. Say when you buy a new cell phone, it comes with a default ringtone. If you don't like that ringtone, you will have to consciously change it. Otherwise, that default ringtone will keep ringing. Similarly, if we do not change the default setting in our body, one will continue to act according to the default setting of being attracted to these sense objects and senses. Recognize that the nature of the mind is chanchalam, flickering. We cannot change the nature of the mind. We cannot stop the mind from wandering. What we can do is, as soon as the mind wanders, recognize and keep bringing it back again and again and again and again and again and again and again in this manner till you become a pure devotee. So devotees from here locally, Toronto area, those who come for services, we have been practicing this. You want to share your experience of this? Somebody quickly. What happens when you come for services and I ask you to memorize verses, and then what happens? And then what do we do?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Go ahead, Monak Prabhu.
Yeah, so Prabhu, after 5-10 minutes, we started ending up Prajalpas, like other material discussion rather than memorizing the verses.
Yeah. So mind wandered. Okay, then what do you do?
We'll try to bring back the mind to memorization of the three verses.
Yeah, very good. So I act as Gabbar Singh when you all are doing these services. And then as soon as I come back, hey, Gabbar Singh aa gaya, memorize verses again. Hey, no, everybody starts with that. Okay, very good. Ritu?
Yes, Prabhuji, whenever you are there, then we start chanting. Otherwise, we don't try to bring it back. The fact is, yeah.
Yeah, and you are correct. And that's the practice also we did it last time we did services, that I specifically told all of you that today I'm not going to be Gabbar Singh. Today I'm not going to tell you anything. And all of you saw your mind was wandering here and there, not focused on japa at all. So this is the practice that yes, I can only be there for you all up for so much. Rest you have to practice for yourself. I can only teach you so much. I cannot hold your hand up to the last moment. No, you have to practice. I can only teach you. Very good. Anybody else wants to share something? Many of you do come for services and have experienced this mind wandering. Want to share?
Yes, Prabhuji, same with other devotees, mind just go away and it's hard to bring it back. And I don't realize that the mind go away and I have to bring it back. You don't realize until you.
Yeah, very good that you don't even realize that the mind is going away. Therefore, instead of chanting the japa, I give you the task of memorizing verses, because this is consciously making you to focus your mind. Okay, very good. Abhishek Prabhu, last point.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I have also noticed that like sometimes I am able to memorize and repeat verses, and it has helped me to memorize a few verses which I wanted to. Other times when I am not, which is also many times happening, then even though the service is done, but like the time has passed and I can't remember exactly what I did during that time.
You are correct. And therefore, many devotees say, oh, I will chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. There are few devotees present here. When I told them to memorize verses, and they said, no, I will chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And I said, this is your mind talking. The mind did not like that you were chanting the verses. And they said, no, I will chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And I said, are you listening to your Hare Krishna Mahamantra? And the devotee said, no. I said, then what was the purpose of chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra? You are not listening to it at all. Therefore, we memorize verses to get you out of your comfort zone so that you are able to actually visualize your mind. So many devotees coming for practice, at least here in the Toronto temple, they all saw their mind. But the mind is everywhere. It is not in control. Only when you will be able to see your mind wandering is when you will be able to control. Otherwise, you don't even know how Malti and Abhishek Prabhu are correctly describing. You don't even know that your mind is wandering and you are doing japa, 16 rounds of japa. You haven't heard a single time. So what was the point of doing 16 rounds of japa? Everybody on the same page? Anybody interested to control your mind or at least see your mind?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Annapurni?
Mind is very chaotic, Prabhuji.
Very good. That's
It's
the fact.
very chaotic, and yes, I'm interested in controlling it.
Yeah, so come for services, go through the class recordings, all the processes are there. So there are few of you, like right now, those who are present here, like Rashi and Kamana has just joined as well, and Annapurni. Yeah, get caught up on the past recordings. There is detailed discussion on mind. There's a lot of discussion on the mind throughout our study so far. And come for services and we can get you the practice as well. All right. So when we'll continue with the verses from 27 onwards. So when one follows all of the above verses, then the results are described. So verse number 27, 28 states Brahman realization. Verse 29 states Paramatma realization. And verse 30 states Bhagwan realization. Rashi 27, 28 translations.
Hare Krishna, the yogi whose mind is fixed on me verily attains the highest perfection of transcendental happiness. He is beyond the mode of passion. He realizes his qualitative identity with the Supreme, and thus he is free from all reactions to past deeds.
28. Rashi 28.
Hare Krishna, the self-controlled yogi constantly engaged in yoga practice becomes free from all material contamination and achieves the highest stage of perfection, happiness in transcendental loving service to the Lord. Hare Krishna.
So straightforward verses that yogi attains perfection by the constant yoga practice that is described in the previous verses. Now 29 is the Paramatma realization. Ritu?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, the self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord everywhere.
So the true yogi sees Paramatma in all beings, and this is the Paramatma realization. And verse number 30 talks about Bhagwan realization. Now, verse number 30 is one of the most significant verses in Bhagavad Gita. This verse number 30 contributed to many more verses and many chapters spoken by Krishna. I will soon describe as we read these verses. Samma, verse number 30 translation.
For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me.
So there are two parts of this verse, that I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me. Krishna is saying this. So first part says, for one who sees me everywhere. Now, how to see God everywhere is through his opulences. And for this, Krishna goes on to describe many chapters. Chapter 7, chapter 9, chapter 10, chapter 15, as well as in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, there are many chapters. All his opulences, if you roughly add up all of the opulences that Krishna is described in Bhagavad Gita and in Srimad Bhagavatam, you'll come up to roughly 270 opulences that are described in the scriptures. We'll of course discuss important ones that we can use on a day-to-day basis very soon. So Krishna, for example, Krishna says, I am Narada, or Krishna says, I am fire, or Krishna says, I am the taste of water, or Krishna says, I am the ability in men. So for example, almost all of us are from India and around region that where cricket is very popular. So right now, even the IPL is going on, that you see the abilities of cricketers. And Krishna says that I am the ability. So don't just stop, say, on these special players that we know, say Bumrah is special, or Dhoni is special, or Kohli is special. There can be many more. Don't just stop on there. Try to remember, oh no, Krishna says, I am the ability. So those abilities are not theirs. It is coming from Krishna. This way, even while watching cricket, you can remember Krishna. We'll discuss this practical very soon in chapter 10. So it is not difficult to see God everywhere in creation because he is present everywhere. And you all will go, what? Yes, I will repeat this statement. It is not difficult to see God everywhere in creation because he is present everywhere. We have to realize the presence of God through his opulences. We'll come to this practice very soon. And then the second part of verse number 30 says, one who sees everything in me. So Arjuna also wanted to see everything in Krishna. Therefore, Krishna goes on to describe chapter 11. So just visualize this one verse, number 30, is a very short verse, resulted in Krishna going on to speak chapters 7, 9, 10, 11, 15 in Bhagavad Gita. And then there is also similar discussion in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11 also. So just visualize how important this verse is. Questions, comments, realization so far?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Prabhuji, is there any difference in the difference in the sadhana of these three sections? They seem very similar on like mind
Yeah, there's
control.
no, it says Ashtanga Yogi. There's no difference in the sadhana. He's just attaining next level of perfection one by one by one. So just as say when you are studying in college, first you complete the exams, you complete your year one, then you again start, you complete your year two, then you start again, start from basic and you complete year three. That's the three levels of progression that he attains. Abhishek Prabhu?
Yes.
Sadhana is same. Sadhana does not change.
Okay.
Pratyush Prabhu?
So Krishna says to see the presence of Krishna in everything. And you mentioned, Prabhuji, about creation. How about in destruction, like in destruction, in wars and diseases? How should we see the image of God, the image of Krishna?
Yeah, so this is discussion in chapter 11, should be verses 27, 28, where the analogy is given. One is the rivers flowing to the ocean, and the other is the moths flying to the fire and get destructed. So destruction is inherently built in material world creation. So you can visualize that way. And the analogy is described as the difference is that if you live like a devotee, then you are like a river. So wherever the river flows, the river is prospering the whole area around where the river flows. And when the river merges in the ocean, the river continues to stay in its original form as water. While the moth is rushing to the fire, the moth is not helping anyone. And even the moth itself is getting destroyed completely. So I briefly described this discussion is there in chapter 11. Does that help you, Pratish Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. Yes.
Okay, very good. Abhishek Prabhu's question in the chat is, in terms of regulation, how much is required for us? We learn by trial and error. So our goal is to be able to fix our mind. You can stop your regulation when your mind is fixed. When you are like the lamp not flickering, means the lamp is sitting in a windless farm and not flickering. When you reach that stage, you have reached samadhi and you don't need to regulate anymore. Does that help you, Abhishek Prabhu? Is that a long way to go?
Yes, Prabhuji, but I feel it's the best way to describe.
Okay, very good. Everybody on the same page?
Prabhuji, I also have a question. Like it says, see me everywhere and everything. So seeing Krishna in things and maybe in people is easy when they are kind, but like, there are people around who are not very kind, and they
It's a
do
discussion. It's an upcoming discussion. Park your question. It's an upcoming discussion where you will all be doing practice also, not just. I can tell you the theory.
It's very difficult.
It's very difficult. I understand.
Wow.
I understand. It's very difficult, but that does not mean that it is not possible. It's just like a child wanting to learn to walk. He will keep falling and he will say, it's very difficult. I will stop to try to walk. Well, then he will never be able to walk. So Krishna will go on to describe both parts, the good and then bad in his opulences. And we'll be practicing all of this very, very soon. Rashi, I really require you to get caught up on the past recordings for this also. Make an endeavor to get caught up. Otherwise, the next exercise is not going to be fruitful for you. So those of you who are in the process of getting caught up, right now, Rashi, Annapurni, Kamna, Monica, Mohit, I think I have named everyone. There are others who are just offline trying to get caught up, so I'm not naming them. Try to get caught up very, very soon. I did want all of you to get caught up till today, but I understand you are not caught up. That's okay. Try to get caught up, and there is a linked exercise coming up where Rashi is pointing out, well, what about the negative opulences? Well, we'll practice that also.
Ji, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Yeah, very good. Somebody else had raised the hand to ask a question or something.
So I just want to know, what is the Shyam Sundara form? Is it the two-handed form?
It's the two-handed form is the Shyam Sundar form. The original form of Krishna is the two-handed Shyam Sundar form. All right. Sumnima, verse number 31 translation.
Hare Krishna. Such a yogi who engages in the worshipful service of the Supersoul, knowing that I and the Supersoul are one, remains always in me in all circumstances.
So Krishna goes on to say, by the way, that Paramatma, I am that Paramatma. So that one who worships, understanding that I and Paramatma in the heart of all, they are one and the same, then you have elevated yourself. To summarize, Krishna is saying that the absolute truth described in 6.29 and 6.30 are the same, and the yogi who understands this, such a yogi becomes situated in me. That means me refers to the highest reality, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Shri Krishna. Okay. Last verse in this Ashtanga Yoga section, in verse number 32, Krishna concludes the section of Ashtanga Yoga and explains who is this highest yogi. Kamna, are you able to read verse number 32 translation?
Sorry, Prabhuji, I don't have English version yet.
Okay, I think everybody has read. Whosoever wants to read verse number 32. Need to go ahead.
Hare Krishna, he is a perfect yogi who, by comparison to his own self, sees the true equality of all beings in both their happiness and their distress, O Arjuna.
So, the purport is very important. Read by yourself later on. And Srila Prabhupada calls this 6.32 verse as the call for compassion. An example is given that a famous yogi, he was in Himalayas and he was asked to come down to preach. And this famous yogi's response was, who was doing Ashtanga Yoga meditation in Himalayas, he said that one who is thirsty should come to the river, meaning he wanted all people to come to Himalayas to him. On the other hand, Srila Prabhupada's view has been that people are thirsty, they need Krishna consciousness, but they are in so much illusion that they don't even realize that they are thirsty. People need spirituality, they need Krishna, but they don't think that they need Krishna. Therefore, we all go out on preaching endeavors. Srila Prabhupada came all the way to the West at a very advanced stage of almost 70 years, leaving Vrindavan. Most people, they sit on a rocking chair in Vrindavan waiting to die. But that was not the mood of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada had the mood of compassion. Srila Prabhupada said people are thirsty, but they don't think that they are thirsty. They don't think that they want Krishna, even though they are thirsty for Krishna. Therefore, Srila Prabhupada came to the West and taught us all this Krishna consciousness and taught us to do preaching. And therefore, we go out on preaching endeavor. So, question for all of you. From these verses 24 to 32, what all Ashtanga Yoga items can you use in your Karma Yoga and Bhakti Yoga processes? Somebody quickly. Somebody.
Yeah. So, Hare Krishna, seeing everyone as part related to Krishna.
Okay. Annapurni?
Same, seeing Krishna everywhere.
Okay. Rest of you? There were a couple of important points besides what Abhishek and Annapurni have explained.
Nature of the mind is to wander, so right to bring it back.
Very good. Mind is going to wander. Just bring it back. Okay, what else? Pratyush?
Treat the mind as an untrusted outsider.
Very good.
Understand that the mind can be contaminated, so your duty should be to purify it.
Okay, very good.
Prabhuji, we should not desire for our personal benefit, but we should try for others also.
Yeah, very good. So this was 32, compassion for all. So very good, all correct points. That one is 24, it says that practice yoga with determination and faith, abandon material desires born of mental speculation, try to control your mind and senses. Then 26, important point, that from wherever and whenever the mind wanders, bring it back under the control. And verse number 32, we discussed the compassion for all. Don't be selfish. You are learning this Bhagavad Gita study. If it is helping to you, then you try to spread this knowledge to others. Try to get at least one devotee to our Bhagavad Gita classes if this has been helpful to you all. Questions, comments, realization on Ashtanga Yoga? Or anything? Anybody willing to do Ashtanga Yoga? Possible for you?
No, Prabhuji.
No, Prabhuji.
Very good. We cannot practice Ashtanga Yoga. So Krishna will soon do a comparison with this Ashtanga Yoga, that the visual we have on screen, and he will compare it with Bhakti Yoga, that Bhakti Yoga is easier to follow. All right. So we will run through the next a few verses today, and so that we are ready for our yoga letter class at our next class. So section 3 is verses 33 to 36, dealing with the mind, the main obstacle in yoga. Okay, let's see. Annapurni, verse 33 translation.
Hare Krishna. Arjuna said, O Madhusudana, the system of yoga which you have summarized appears impractical and unendurable to me, for the mind is restless and unsteady. Hare Krishna.
So the system of Ashtanga Yoga, which is also known as Dhyan Yoga, does not seem practical. Now, here's a question for all of you. Everyone will answer this question. So yeah, we have learned this in our previous classes. So question for all of you is Arjuna saying no to Krishna? Is this being submissive or challenging? Everybody, please answer.
No, I don't think he's challenging Krishna, but I think he's just expressing his own opinion of how this system can be impractical for him.
Okay, very good. Annapurni?
Yes, yeah, he thinks that it's going to be very challenging and it cannot be done on a consistent, sustainable basis.
But isn't Arjuna saying no to Krishna? So Krishna is giving something and he's Supreme Personality of Godhead. Isn't Arjuna saying no to Krishna?
As it
I
looks
think
like.
I think he's just asking for more clarification.
Okay. Abhishek Prabhu?
No, Ishwari, he uses the word it appears impractical and endurable, but he doesn't say that it is impractical and endurable. So I see it as a sign that he wants more understanding on that.
Okay, very good. Ritu?
He cannot say no because he has accepted Lord Krishna as the Guru. So he's just clarifying.
Okay, follow me.
Prabhuji, is it possible that he is expressing his own shortcomings why he is unable to do it? That
Okay.
is how he's saying the no.
Okay, very good.
Respectfully.
Parth Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, to me, Arjuna never says no, but to him, it appears that it is impractical.
Yeah.
But
So,
it can be done.
Yeah. So understand that Arjuna is teaching us many things. So the content that Arjuna is asking, meaning the content of the question, is obviously important. But we have learned, and here also Arjuna is teaching us the how. That if tomorrow spiritual master comes and tells you, do this, and you will go, I don't know how to do it, but you say, yes, sir. That is not correct, because you will not be able to do what the spiritual master is going to ask you to do. Well, you will end up not satisfying your spiritual master. So how do you do it when you are unable to do something that your spiritual master is asking you to do? That's what Arjuna is teaching us. So the content obviously is important, but the how part is very important, which we have discussed throughout our previous classes and here also. Arjuna is teaching us these subtle things. Arjuna is teaching us very, very important subtle things throughout Bhagavad Gita. So, submission means I will do whatever you say. So, submission, because Arjuna is saying that Arjuna is not saying, Krishna, you are wrong. Arjuna never said that Krishna, you are wrong with this Ashtanga Yoga. He didn't use those words at all. So Arjuna is not offensive, rather Arjuna is submissive. So what Arjuna is saying, if you read the verse properly, what he's saying is, what you are saying is okay, what you are saying is correct, but it is not practical for me. It is not possible for me. So some of you correctly pointed out this point. And therefore, Arjuna is not challenging anything here. Arjuna is just teaching us how to be submissive. I will tell you my own example. This is almost 15 years ago when I had no clue about all of this. And my spiritual master, His Grace Vaisheshwadas Adhikari. So I have not yet taken shelter from him, but I have a bond with him. We all have the Toronto area book distributors. We all have a bond with him. So I used to have a one-on-one meeting with him where he will give me instructions. And first instruction he gave me was memorize verses. And I said, but my material world personal life calendar is booked for next 12 months. How can I do this? Please explain this to me. So I did not say no. What I said is, okay, you are giving me this instruction. Now please also tell me, how do I do this? And my spiritual master gave me very practical, easy to apply pointers. And I'll tell you those. So my spiritual, and I have shared with many of you those pointers. So my spiritual master said that when you are standing in a grocery line, what are you doing? Nothing. Have Bhagavad Gita memorized one line at a time. When you are taking shower, what are you doing? Nothing. It's a waste of time. Memorize verse. When you are driving, say you are standing at a stop line, red light, what you are doing? Nothing. Memorize verses. So my spiritual master gave me very easy, tangible ways to apply. My spiritual master didn't tell me you are fool number one, that you are materially entangled. He didn't tell me that at all. He said, just use these gaps in between the days that you have. And look, now I have memorized so many verses following the instructions of my spiritual master. So this is what Arjuna is teaching us. That you will also face this situation, that something the spiritual master will tell you and you will find, oh, I cannot do this. So you don't have to say no. You just have to say, okay, but how do I do this? Also give me that practical, tangible application of this. Everybody on the same page? Questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Go ahead, Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, in our daily devotional duties, which are not directly coming from spiritual master, do we have to follow the same attitude, like we can't say no?
Yes, you are correct that you have to dovetail your daily duties. So you cannot separate. You have to come to the point where you have to dovetail your day-to-day activities into Krishna consciousness. Then this division will not exist and this challenge will not be there. And this is upcoming discussion in 18.46 where I'm going to show you a visual about this. But right now, does that help you?
No, Prabhuji, my question was like, If we go in a temple and there are some services and then someone else asks us to do some services and this goes on, and we may have some other plans or things to do, then it becomes problem if we can't say no.
Yeah, so you don't have to do all the services. You have to find a balance. Krishna consciousness or Krishna service runs 24 hours. Try to do everything, you'll be burnt out. I have given my own example that I used to do so much services that I actually burnt out and I left the temple. Well, then what was the point of doing services? I actually left the temple because I was burnt out. I did not have balance. And then senior disciples, senior devotees, they got involved. And the first instruction they gave me is stop doing services. And I was like, what? They said, yes, stop doing services because you have to first regain your strength by chanting. So I was not doing any chanting. I was just doing service, 24 hours. It actually burnt me and I left the temple. So what was the point of service? No, you need to balance that you need scriptural study, you need your sadhana of chanting, and you need services. There should be a balance as well as your own health. You need a balance between all of this. The proper hierarchy is you need to take care of your health first, then comes sadhana, then comes service. Most of the devotees have this upside down, that they simply focus on service and the other two are falling off, exactly what happened with me. Abhishek Prabhu?
So in that sense, Prabhuji, like it doesn't break the principle of this submissiveness if we say no to something which someone has asked us to
Yeah,
do.
it doesn't break the submissiveness. You can just say, Prabhu, I have done my service. I still have to do my sadhana, and I can only help so much, not beyond a point.
Thank you, Prabhuji. That was helpful.
All right. Diksha, verse number 34. So what Arjuna said in verse number 33, Arjuna will also give an example or why he is saying verse number 33. He will explain. Verse number 34 is very important about the mind. We'll hear from Chaitanya Chandas on this also. All right, Diksha, 34.
Hare Krishna. For the mind is restless, turbulent, obstinate, and very strong, O Krishna, and to subdue it, I think, is more difficult than controlling the wind.
Very, very well known and a very famous verse. So Arjuna is giving a reason or an example as to why he is thinking the mind is restless and that's why he cannot practice Ashtanga Yoga. Arjuna is giving 4 serious describers of mind. These are very serious describers. First is Chanchal, that mind is childlike restless. Second, Pramati, mind is mad and agitating. Third is Balavad, mind is very strong. And fourth is Dradam, mind is obstinate. So some of you did explain your own situation about the mind. And this verse should be very relatable to you. Oh, my mind is exactly like this. So first is Chanchal, that the mind is childlike restless. Now, if you ask a child to sit down quietly, the child is not going to sit down quietly because of restlessness. The mind keeps running from one thing to another to keep exploring. Now, childish curiosity can be dangerous, but it still is innocent. Mind's chanchalta is not like the childish, innocent curiosity. What makes the mind dangerous is that it is not like the child in curiosity. Mind is also like a bully in strength. And it is all these 4 serious describers combined that make the mind very dangerous, meaning the chanchalta, the pramati means mind is mad and agitating, the balavat, mind is strong, and dradam, mind is obstinate. All these four items combined, that makes the mind very dangerous. The pramati, the mad or the agitating state of the mind is agitated to the point that can be mad. And Balavad, strong. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 23, the Avanti Brahmana chapter and the verse, it says, mind's godlike power. When the mind becomes in control, it's almost impossible to disobey the mind's command. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, that among the senses, I am the mind. So here is a practical application for you all. Next time your mind agitates, remember Krishna. Krishna says, I am the mind. Means the power of the mind is coming from Krishna. You can use it to remember Krishna. And the fourth item, characteristics of the mind is radam, obstinate. Now, obstinacy means something that is undesirable and the person should give it up. So it's the combination of all these four items of chanchalta, pramati, balavad, and radam, which makes the mind extremely dangerous. Therefore, we have our worst enemy right inside us. Mind is more powerful than the wind. So I'll play Chaitanya Chanda's lecture here, and then we will come to the briefly discuss the solution, although it's an ongoing exercise which we have discussed throughout and will continue to discuss. So let's hear from Chaitanya Chandas about the mind, that how these four characteristics of mind make the mind so very strong. Make notes and we'll come back to discuss.
Hare Krishna. The mind is restless, reasonless, ruthless, and relentless. The Bhagavad Gita describes in the 6th chapter that the mind is extremely difficult to control. In 6.34, Arjun says, Chanchalamimana Krishna Pramati Balavadrudham Tasyaham Nigraham Manye Vayoriva Sudushkaram. So it describes four qualities of the mind which we can explain in terms of 4 R's. Chanchalam, restless. Chanchalam Himana Krishna Pramati, it is mad, it is reasonless. Balavad, it is very strong. It is, when it is strong, it is ruthless. It is not compassionately strong, it is ruthlessly strong. And Drudham, it is obstinate. Once it holds on to something, it is relentless. So let's understand these 4 attributes of the mind so that we can learn to deal with it effectively. So the mind is restless, like a child. A child is never able to stay focused on one thing. It will play with one toy, then another toy, sit and read a book, and then immediately go and watch some TV, play with some knife. It's restless. It doesn't stay at one point. Now, if the mind were just restless like a child, we could discipline it by force. But no, the mind is reasonless like a madman. If a person is mad, then they are also grown up. It's not very easy to calm a mind, to calm a reasonless person, to calm a mad person. So the mind is reasonless. That means it flickers, oh, this is enjoyable, that is enjoyable, that is enjoyable. And it doesn't really reason, is this actually enjoyable? If something catches its fascination, just like a madman may pick up a gun and point it to oneself to shoot it. Doesn't understand that this will destroy me. So the mind is reasonless like that. And then it is also strong, balavad. It is ruthless like a bully. A bully delights in causing pain to others, and the bully uses its strength, their strength, to intimidate others, to inflict pain on others. Similarly, the mind is like a bully. It threatens us, it barks, and it scares us. If it can scare us by exaggerating small fears to be catastrophic problems, and it can make small pleasures seem so irresistible that it scares us. If I don't indulge in this pleasure, the mind will make our life like a living hell. It is by indulging in the pleasure that a life will become like a living hell. But the mind intimidates us into indulging in those pleasures. So it is ruthless like a bully, and then it is relentless like a leech. When a leech catches hold of some skin to suck blood, it just doesn't let go no matter how much we pull it. So similarly, when the mind catches hold of some idea, I want this now, I want this at all costs, the mind holds on to it and just doesn't let go. So the mind is so relentlessly obstinate, and is such a dangerous mind that is restless, reasonless, ruthless and relentless, that is extremely difficult to control. And that's why we need something more than ourselves to control the mind. We need Krishna. When we wholeheartedly, unhesitatingly take shelter of Krishna, focus on Krishna, then He controls the mind for us. By recognizing how formidable an enemy the mind is, we will give up our hesitation to seek alliance with Krishna, to seek the assistance of Krishna, to seek the guidance of Krishna. And when we connect with Him, then He helps us to become more than what we are, and thus control this terrible mind. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Okay, what did he explain? Very important points he explained.
He said mind is chanchalam, restless like a child, and it is mad, reasonless like a madman. It is very strong, ruthless, it threatens us, relentless, like he wants something and at any cost. Just to hold on these things, we need Krishna. We should take shelter of Lord Krishna.
Okay, very good. Rest of you?
Because the mind is restless like a child, we cannot control the mind with force, because it is also reasonless like a madman.
Okay, very good. What else?
Hare Krishna. The fourth quality, obstinate, he explains that it forces a person to indulge in the sense pleasure, and to such an extent that a person started thinking that if I don't have that pleasure, then my life will become a hell. So I want that at any cost.
Okay, very good. What else?
When mind gets an idea, it stays like a leech with the idea.
Okay, very good. So all these points, the restless, reasonless, ruthless, and relentless, did these stick on you?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, all the time.
Abhishek Prabhu?
One very nice thing he said, that by seeing how formidable enemy the mind is, we give up our hesitation of seeking alliance of Krishna.
Very good. Annapurni?
And Prabhuji, I have a question. So Prabhuji was comparing, saying that the mind is restless like a baby, reasonless like a madman, relentless like a leech, and ruthless like a... What did he compare the ruthlessness to?
We compare
Like a bully.
Bully.
Yeah, ruthless like a bully. Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. So, question for all of you. How many of you want to see your mind's chanchalta right now? I got nobody. How many of you want to see your mind's chanchalta right now?
Me.
I want
Yes, Prabhuji.
Only few. So I want you to look at your WhatsApp messages. How do you write? Hare Krishna, send. All goes to Srila Prabhupada, send. Please accept my send. Blah, 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 send. Blah, 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 send. Arey Baba, write one thought process properly in one message. And most recently, many of you got a message from me, a one-on-one message from me to test the Zoom recordings. So I gave you 3 points in my messages. So some of you responded properly. For point number 1, here's my answer. Point number 2, here's my answer. Point number 3, here's my answer. For point number 2, some of you did not have, so you left it blank. That's understandable. So some of you responded properly for 1 answer, for 2 answer, for 3 answer. Some of you responded one at a time. In one message, you are answering for point number 1. In second message, you are answering point number 2. Third message, you are answering point number 3. Some just said yes. Arey Baba, but point number 1 and point number 2 are different. Which it applies yes to which one? So I want all of you to go back and check your messages the way you write. Specifically, those of you who got the message from me for the testing of the Zoom recordings, just look how you responded. And this is because of the chanchalta of your mind, the flickeringness of your mind. So this communication was already bad before this social media came into place of WhatsApp and Telegram and all the anything and everything that you talk about, which made the communication even worse than what it was. So just because everybody is in a hurry to hit send, you don't have to follow the world. You have to follow Bhagavad Gita. You have to transform. So on a go forward basis, write the message properly. Now, sometimes you may only have to respond a yes and then there is no follow up. That's a different story. But if you are going to write message after message after message, blah, 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 send, blah, 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 send, blah, 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 send, why are you hitting send every time? Write a message properly with a start, with a content, with the ending, and then hit send once. Sometimes many of you start responding from the first message that you get. Arey Baba, but wait, let the other person finish his messages. This is the chanchalta of your mind. So use your WhatsApp to see your mind. How many would like to practice this? I got silence.
Me?
Yes, Prabhuji, would like to practice and learn.
Right? So on a go forward basis, write a proper message. Communicate with devotees. There are a few devotees who write proper messages. They will write a proper message. Or even when I send messages, sometimes I also respond yes, no, and I'm also in a hurry. I also have the mind in a flickering nature. But generally, most of the time, I will have a proper message that will start properly. Hare Krishna, please accept my humble obeisances. Then there'll be a content, and then there'll be ending your servant. So there, everything is in one place and will be with bullet points or in number. Why are you writing blah, 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 send, blah, 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 send? So next time you have this craving to hit send on your messages, remember 6.34. chanchal, pramati, the characteristics of the mind, then balavat and dradam. Remember, so use your WhatsApp to control your mind. And I want all those who responded to my messages for the Zoom recording test, I want you to read my message and read your message or read your messages. Was your mind out of control at the time? Yes, no, silence.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes.
All right. So the solution is doing bhakti yoga, being aware of your mind, that how the mind is out of control. And those of you who come for practice or do devotional services here in Toronto area, you have actually practiced this more than those who are far away. But those who are far away can also do the same practice. That treat your mind as an untrusted outsider and validate whatever the mind says, validate with scriptures, use Shastra Chakshu and then act. If the activity is going to take you closer to Krishna, then you will do it. If the activity is going to take you away from Krishna, then you don't do it. Now, this communications, it is not just among devotees that you communicate properly. No, with outside world also, you communicate properly. Why do you have to follow those who are falling in the ditch? No, you have learned something from Bhagavad Gita that you can apply in your material world. You apply. You set the high standards so that others can follow you. Yes, no, or am I going to get silence again?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhuji.
All right, last two verses for today. So Krishna will give the response to Arjuna's this seeming challenge that he has, that what he should do. Follow me, 35 translation.
Yes, Prabhuji. Lord Sri Krishna said, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. Hare Krishna.
So Krishna first sympathizes with Arjuna that yes, it is very difficult to control the mind, but it is possible. Now, example to understand that if a disciple comes to the spiritual master and the disciple says, I cannot control my anger. And if the spiritual master replies in a chastising manner that, what? You are supposed to control your anger. And after so many years of chanting, if you cannot control, then you are fallen. Well, if the spiritual master responds like this, when a disciple expresses a doubt, well, the disciple will run away. So when a disciple expresses a doubt, there has to be sympathy. And then come down to the level of the person who is raising the doubt to make the disciple comfortable. Similarly, when we preach Krishna consciousness, we have to bring it down to the level of that person. Help them understand at their level how they can practice. Don't tell them you are fool number one. No, understand that they are caught up in the material world and come down to their level. So many of you, almost all of you, have had one-on-one conversations with me, not once, not twice, multiple times. Please tell me, any one of you, have I ever chastised you? Or what has been my response to you?
No, Prabhuji, you never chastise.
No, Prabhuji, and you always bring points from scriptures to connect to our situation.
Okay.
Also, I,
Sama.
I think there's a lot of patience as well when we talk to you, like regarding our queries or like for getting caught up or anything. I think there's a lot of patience as well.
All right.
Also, you always say the words like, that's all right, it happens with others as well. So we don't feel like we're making a huge mistake. So you just come down to a level as well.
Yeah. So I am not making up anything. I'm just trying to practice what Krishna is teaching us. So Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. If Krishna comes down to where Arjuna is caught up in bodily concept, that's what Krishna is teaching us. So the words, the content, of course, we understand. But Arjuna teaches us subtle things. Krishna is teaching us subtle things. So next time you go out on preaching, use this 6.35. Have compassion for everyone. Use positive language. Everybody is caught up. Everybody is fallen. You don't have to tell them that. Just try to help them get out of their bodily concept of life and try to come down to their level. Now, all these points I'm going to show you very soon at the start of chapter 7. What we have covered in first 6 chapters, I'm going to show you in six pointers the whole first 6 chapters. And the yoga ladder is a summary of first 6 chapters. Will be like, wow, I know the first 6 chapters inside out. Everything is coming up. Everything is going to fall in its place very soon. And therefore I said, in the next few classes, all known and unknown puzzle pieces will fall in their respective places. So what Krishna's response is that yes, it is very difficult to control the mind. So he's using sympathy first. And then he says, however, by regular practice and detachment, it is possible to control the mind. So Krishna is using generic terms to explain how to control the mind. Instead of bhakti specific terms or Ashtanga Yoga specific terms, Krishna did not use any specific terms for bhakti yoga or any specific terms for Ashtanga Yoga. No, Krishna used generic terms that by regular practice and by detachment, it is possible to control your mind. So here's a question for you. Is Krishna recommending any specific process here? Somebody quickly.
Okay, this is true for all processes.
Very good. So Krishna is not recommending any process. Krishna is simply stating what Abhishek Prabhu correctly pointed out, the items of practice and detachment, which are common for all processes, not just for any one particular process. So what does practice and detachment refer to here? So these are generic principles for all paths. If a person is sick, person has to take therapy, meaning abhyas. He has to do practice. Example, somebody has a fracture. So doctor will say, try a little exercise, meaning this is abhyas, practice. Plus, don't try to exert too much. So this is vairagya, this is detachment. In bhakti yoga, we keep practicing to try to bring mind under control And by Vairagya means we try to follow regulative principles, meaning avoid activities that agitate our mind disproportionately. Questions, comments, realizations?
I have a question. So, because we need to have compassion for everyone, what do we do in situations where there are people around us, especially at workplaces, where who don't have that compassion for us and who are like rude to us? And obviously, because mind being ruthless like a bully, the small fears, like, just turn into a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, you use the situation to your advantage to see the modes. So the other person is acting under the modes. So Samma at least has heard the lecture from chapter 14 of the previous batch on modes. Some of others also have done that. So you can use the situation to see the modes, how the other person is under the lower modes. Therefore, the other person is either angry or envious or whatever. Now, if the other person is under the lower modes, and if you also respond similarly to the other person, well, then what's the difference between them and you? What's the difference for you studying Bhagavad Gita and still not transforming? You just walk away from the situation first and deal it with a cool mind. It's an upcoming discussion throughout our Bhagavad Gita that if you also become angry, well, then there's no difference between you and them. We'll soon discuss this in upcoming chapter, specifically chapter 13, that these qualities that we have to develop under normal circumstances, it seems, oh yeah, I have no anger. Oh yeah, I am in control. Oh yeah. But as soon as somebody provokes you, that's when you test whether you have developed these qualities or not. So use it for your situation. In terms of specifics of the circumstance, first control yourself. Ensure that you are not angry. You already have won a lot of points there. Then with a cool head, when you address the situation, you will be able to address it much properly rather than in an angry situation. So, Samma, I want you to read 16.21 translation, that if you also become angry, then what happens to you is given in 16.21.
16.21. There are three gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give up these, for they lead to the degradation of the soul.
So next time you have a provocation situation and you are also trying to become angry, remember 16.21 and read that if you also become angry, well, then you are going to go to hell. Does anybody want to go to hell?
No, Prabhuji.
Samma, does that help you?
Yes, it surely does. Thank you.
Yeah, and there's more discussion coming up. I just answered briefly right now.
Okay.
All right, last verse for today. Let's see who can read. Rashi. Parth Prabhu, go ahead.
Yeah. For one whose mind is unbridled, self-realization is difficult work. But he whose mind is controlled and who strives by appropriate means is assured of success. That is my opinion.
So when mind is disturbed, perfection of yoga is impossible to attain. Controlling the mind is a requirement that has to be met. This is not optional. Ashtanga Yoga and Bhakti Yoga will be contrasted very soon. And in chapter 8, verse number 14, Krishna will explain that Bhakti Yoga is easier as compared to Ashtanga Yoga. Therefore, use remembrance of Krishna to control the mind. In chapter 8, Krishna will contrast Bhakti Yoga and Ashtanga Yoga. And in chapter 8, Krishna says that Bhakti Yoga is easier. So Arjuna's question in 6.33 and 34 gets answered in chapter 8, and you will all understand the reason why, because Krishna will set a base of Bhakti Yoga in chapter 7. So for our next class, I'll just take a minute more if you can please tolerate. So for our next class is a yoga ladder class. What I have on screen, I have shared it before. And I think Kamna joined afterwards, and I will post it again here in the chat. So next class will run like a movie or a video in a fast forward mode. Don't worry about it. You are bound to miss many of the boxes. Don't worry about it. You will get caught up on this. And the following class. So next class is 5th of April is yoga ladder class, where I will do the lot of talking at a very fast pace and offload everything that we have learned in the first 6 chapters. And the following class, possibly could be 2 classes, where you all will ask, it's mandatory for all of you to explain at least one striking point and at least one inquiry. And the following 2 classes will be completely open-ended classes where you can ask any and all questions. So after our yoga ladder class, I will also send a Google form link where you will populate your striking point and your inquiries, so that I come prepared for the next session. So I posted this yoga ladder shell again, and Kamna was the only one. So please print on a tabloid size page, and we will go from there. Thank you for tolerating for a few extra minutes. We'll stop here. Hare Krishna, everybody.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Prabhuji.